Let's get started. Thank you for being here today. I only make this for 45 minutes because I think that's a good amount of time for me to share with you with what I've got, and it doesn't take up your whole day. So this workshop is called Your Life, Your Turn, and it's for women who are ready to rewrite their next chapter. So, if you are a woman who's been through a big life change and you're ready to reconnect with yourself and find clarity and build a life that you're proud of, you're in the right place. I will just have to keep an eye on if anyone's coming in. Okay, so your next chapter begins here, which is really exciting. You probably have spent years being everything to everybody else, and you've been holding it all together and showing up and staying strong, but now it's time to be something for you. So maybe your marriage ended, or maybe the kids have grown up, or maybe you woke up one day and just thought, this isn't my life anymore. If you're anything like me, I've had all of those. Somewhere along the way, you lost you, and now you're quietly questioning, what now? So, this isn't about fixing your past, it's about redesigning your future. And that's what I get excited about because we're going to create that inspiring future. Where do you want to go? Because if you don't know where you want to go, it's pretty hard to get there. So, what you'll learn in the next 45 minutes is I'm going to walk you through my 3-step rebuild method. And this is the same process I use with women to shift from just coping to actually living again. And it's the same process that I used when I was stepping through all my changes, as well as I still use it all day, every day, because there's so much in it that supports me in life. Welcome, Jackie. I see you've just come along. Um, if you want to open the chat, you can let us know where you're calling in from. So, what you'll walk away with today is a deeper sense of who you are and where you are now, a clear direction and next steps forward, and confidence to begin that new chapter with purpose and with hope. So, just a reminder, it's not about going back to where you were. This is your moment. You've made it through the hard stuff. Now it's time to write the next chapter with some clarity, with some courage, and with some support. So let's begin your life, your turn. The first steps to your next chapter start here. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kylie Rae. I am a life coach and I have been a life coach since about 2016. And I help women who are stepping into their next chapters. And I'm going to share a bit of my story as we go along. So, whether, as I said, whether it's divorce or empty nester or just you just don't think this is right anymore, I help women like you because I have been you and I feel like I have the formula to be able to support you. So this is a bit about my story. So these are my 2 little children. They are now grown up. I am now a nana. So I do have 2 grandbabies. One is 4 days old and the other one is 10 months old. So it's a very special time, and maybe some of you are in this situation as well. So I met my first husband when I was 16. We bought a house at 18, moved into that home at 18, engaged at 19, married at 21, and baby at 25, baby at 27, divorced at 36. So, I really, when that marriage ended, it was very hit me in the face kind of experience of I really don't know who I am and I really don't know how to be me. I'm not sure about any of you, but to leave more or less my childhood home and then move into a home with a partner, I never had that space to be able to figure out who I was and what I liked and what I wanted and what I valued and what was important to me. And so I kind of grew as a version of me as a couple or as a mum, or I was also a teacher. I grew like that. I didn't grow as Kylie first. And so when the marriage ended and I now had to be Kylie again, I didn't know who Kylie was. And I kind of always say, I remember it feeling like the gingerbread man cookie cutter. I felt like I had an outline, but I had nothing inside me. I didn't know what that was. And it was really profound. I remember it from that time. And even in that time, making decisions on my own. I don't know if any of you have experienced any of that. I was making decisions as a couple, and now I had to make a decision as me, and I didn't know how to do it. I remember taking my son, that little boy on the screen now, who was 9, to the furniture shop 5 times to decide what bed I was going to buy to move into the house that I was moving into, because I just didn't know how to do it. And so I created this coaching program to be able to support women with that next chapter, with that new identity, with that new life. And I realized that something had to change. And so I chose something different. I reclaimed my power and I began creating the life I wanted. And that's what more or less when I went down that personal development journey to got me to where I am now. So first of all, I was just dabbling in personal development. Then I went and did life coaching training. I've also done NLP training, which is neuro linguistic programming, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy. Because a lot of the things that hold us back are our limiting beliefs, which is on that subconscious level. So I wanted to make sure I had the skills and knowledge to be able to support myself and other women in that area. And so today, I now have, when my marriage did end, and I knew I always wanted to remarry at some stage. And so I was actually single for 15 years, a long time. I did date that whole time. I did do whatever I could to be able to learn about me, because I feel that you learn about you in interactions with other people, to create a life and to attract in the partner that I wanted. And so eventually, I never let go of that dream, and I did attract in the man of my dreams. I'm now married. I've been married for 3 years. We have built a dream home, we have a dream car, we've created a beautiful life where we can go on many holidays. I'm actually going to the Maldives in a week's time, one of those bucket list kind of holidays. So I've really been able to turn my life around from struggling single mum, raising my kids on my own, studying full time, working full time, managing the ups and downs of emotions of all of that, to be able to recreate me and then be able to recreate a beautiful life. And I've been able to help many women do that. And that's what I'm here to share with you today. I also just want to say, I'm not going to sell you anything at the end. So please don't sit there thinking, oh my God, she's going to have a sales pitch at the end. I will offer you a call with me at the end if you think that you want to know a little bit more. There'll be no pressure. It's just that a lot of women do come along to this kind of workshop thinking, I know I'm ready. I do want to chat to someone. So I'm not going to sell you anything, but I will offer you a call at the end. So you don't have to be worrying about that. Just sit back and enjoy. So here's why you should stick around. I've rebuilt my life from the ground up. I know what it feels like to lose yourself and what it takes to rise again. I've risen through the parts where everything changes. Marriage ending, empty nester, even stepping into a new relationship is a new direction. The endings, the uncertainties, the rebuilding, I've lived it, and I'm proof that you can rise too. And now I help other women do the same. And you don't have to figure it out all alone. I'll show you how to begin your next chapter with confidence. So if you're ready to stop just surviving and start creating your next chapter, you're in the right place. So you've probably been holding it all together and hoping something will change, but it's costing you your energy, your spark, and your sense of self. And deep down, you feel it, and it's time to choose a new way forward. A life that feels aligned, fulfilling, and true to you is possible, no matter where you're starting from. And I'm going to share a couple of stories with you throughout my presentation, because I want to inspire you, because a lot of these women are where you might be sitting now. So this lady's name is Teresa, and I coached her at the end of 24, like Christmas time. She started her coaching. She came to me after a 20-year marriage ended. She was a stay-at-home mum, so she hadn't worked for a long time, and she had to go back to work, and as a teacher she was. And she contacted me because she was feeling exhausted and just in survival mode, and she'd lost direction and a sense of who she was. And she felt that she was stuck in a life that no longer felt like hers. And she was just trying to get through the day. So we met for 10 weeks, and each week within week one, she started to feel the possibility that she could have this life again. And at the end of the 10 weeks, I remember having my last call with her, and she said, she was telling me a story how, because remember, she had no friends. I don't know about you. When my marriage ended, I had no friends. I had to recreate that part of my life as well. And so she was part of her goals was to get a new friendship circle. She actually wanted to move to Canberra because her family lived there, and she wanted a job down there. She wanted a social life. She wanted a life. And she said she was making some scones in the kitchen to take to a new group of friends for an afternoon tea. And she had some music on and she was kind of dancing around. And she said to herself, I'm actually happy. I'm happy. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for me. And what I want for all women to be happy. Anyway, a year later, so the end of 2025, we've just had, I reached out to her because I knew her long-term goals were due to come to fruition. And I said, I'm just checking in. How are you going? And this is a photo of this day. And she said to me, Kylie, it's funny that you're contacting me today because the furniture just got put on the truck to move to Canberra. 2 weeks ago, I was offered my dream job. She's since told me she's got permanency. She didn't know it was permanent. Um, and she had taken up dance classes over the last 12 months. She said it was her year of saying yes. She'd lost 20 kilos. And this is her going to her dance recital. She just had her makeup done, and she was one of the main performances for the event. And she was smiling and she was happy and she was living her life, and she kept saying to me, I'm just so happy. And since she has replied to me only about a week ago when I sent out the email about Bridgerton, I'm not sure if you got my email about the Bridgerton series, and she said she related to that. But this is why I do what I do, because in such a short period of time, she's been able to turn her life around. And I just love her story, and I wanted to share it. As I said, she reconnected with her values, her goals, and her identity. She discovered what truly mattered and how to move forward. And she created boundaries, found joy, and started saying yes to her life. She said, I finally feel like me again, but stronger. I'm not just surviving anymore, I'm thriving. And that's what we want. Because I don't know about you, I was in survival mode for a long time. Okay, so I'm going to share with you what I taught her. So this is the rebuild method that I teach, and it's the pathway to creating a life you're proud of. And there's 3 phases. There's the rediscover phase, the reset phase, and the rise phase. And I'm going to break that open for you now. So because you've tried holding it all together, now it's time to build something that holds you. So this method holds you, and then it holds you for the rest of your life. So the first pillar is the rediscovering phase. And this is the first step to breaking free from the overwhelm. And together we uncover who you are now, what truly matters to you, and where you want to go next, so you can move forward with clarity, self-trust, and a renewed sense of purpose. Because if you don't know where you're going and you don't know what's important to you, you don't we don't start often, and you don't see the signs, you don't see the opportunities, you don't know what steps to take. So that's really important that we get that clear. So you actually wake up with a deep sense of knowing who you are, what matters most, and where to focus your energy. Because remember, the next phase of your life is a different version of you. As I said before, when I stepped out of my marriage into my new single life, I was still trying to make decisions from the old version of me, but that wasn't me anymore. So I needed to figure out who the new version was so that I could create this, start to create this life I wanted. So the difference isn't luck. It's being clear, having a strategy, and then the support. And that's what this rebuild method is. So what I want to do this morning is I want to break down the rebuild method with you using a simple traffic light system. So I'm going to ask you some questions. And if you can type into the chat, I'm going to ask you to give me the word red, yellow, or green, depending on how you're feeling about these areas of your life. So red is stuck, yellow is uncertain, and green is its inflow. And so when I'm reading to you the possible answers, um, the green is where you eventually want to be, but I'm assuming that a lot of you are kind of in the red or yellow because you've come along today, and that's where I was. So in the rediscover phase, how clear do you really feel about the direction of your life right now? So red, you feel lost, tired, and flat. You've been so focused on getting through the day that you don't even know what you want anymore. Decisions feel overwhelming, so you put them off. And deep down, there's a quiet fear that if nothing changes, the next few years will look exactly like this. And you're surviving, but you're not really living. Or the yellow, you know something needs to change. You get moments of clarity, and then you fall back into overwhelm. You feel stuck between wanting more and not knowing how to move forward. And you know something needs to change, but you're not sure what or where to start. You can see the path, but you're not walking it. And then the green is you feel grounded and clear. You know what matters to you. You trust yourself to make decisions. Even when life is messy, you know where you're heading and life feels intentional again. So if you want to type into the chat, thank you, Angelique. You said yellow. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. For me at the moment, I'm green because I now know what to do even when it's wobbly. But I know that in the beginning, I was scared that life was going to stay the way it was if I didn't make a change. Okay, next one. So if you want to move from the red to the yellow, so this is awareness before action. So you stop pushing through and you actually ask yourself, what do I want my life to look like a year from now? And so you might want to write that down. And when you get off today, you might want to write that down and answer that question. You start noticing where you've been living on autopilot instead of choice. And you admit, I can't keep doing this the same way. This is the moment survival starts to loosen its grip. And then if you want to move from yellow to green, this is support creates momentum. You stop trying to figure it all out alone. You align your decisions with what actually matters to you now. And you set boundaries that protect your time, energy, and self-respect. You choose support that helps you follow through, not just think about change. This is where clarity turns into confidence. So I want to share a little bit about Sandra. Sandra came to me in 2020, so that was when COVID hit. And she was a teacher because I was a teacher to start with, so I was coaching a lot of teachers to start with. Um, and she was a 30-year experienced teacher, very capable, very confident, had a life together. What happened here is that she got COVID was scaring her to death because remember, teachers were in schools looking after kids while everybody else was at home. She had a staff member die. She had a family member die, and she had some illnesses, and so she felt like she was just holding it together. And she didn't feel like she was her anymore, and she couldn't see a way forward. And when she came to me, she said, I say, what do you want to achieve from this? You know, what are you looking for? She said, I don't know. And eventually she said, I just want to feel better. That was her whole goal. I just want to feel better. So from there to, she coached with me twice over, she'd won a lot of coaching for 10 weeks and then she came back 2 years later and did another lot of coaching. Um, and in that time, but the 10 weeks, she did feel better. But in that time, she has landed her dream teaching role on the Sunshine Coast. She's bought a dream home on the Sunshine Coast and she's reconnected her relationship with her husband. This is Sandra in the middle. She said to me, because when I ask people to set their dreams, their inspiring future, I say, have a real image of what it looks like at the end. And you might want to be thinking about this now. What do you want it to look like when you have achieved what you want? And she said, Kylie, I will know that I've achieved my dreams if I'm walking along the beach in name brand activewear. And so this is her sending me a photo of wearing Lorna Jane, name brand activewear, on the Sunshine Coast. So she worked on her health. She wanted to do that because so she started eating better and walking even before she was coming to a coaching session with me, because then I did them in person. She'd go do her walk before she'd come just to make sure she got the walk in. So she committed to that. She wanted to reconnect her relationship with her husband, and to do that, her action was to go camping once a month with him, and she did that. She's moved to the Sunshine Coast. She got the dream job. Now, to get a job as a teacher on the Sunshine Coast is virtually impossible because everybody wants it. But she was doing whatever it took for as long as it took to get it. She was emailing principals, she was making appointments, and she got the dream job. She sold her house in Brisbane for 100,000 more than she thought she was going to, so she could then buy a house closer to the beach. And there, she didn't, because I always say, dream big, get whatever you want type thing. I said, what kind of car do you want? She wasn't really cared about what kind of car she wanted, but she also got an amazing car. She got everything she wanted, and she now knows how to keep doing that to bring into her life what she wants. And I love Sandra's story. She keeps texting me and telling me how it's going. And these are some of her texts. She said, celebrating my personal gains, back where I said the words out loud for the first time in that March, I hope this is my life sooner. And then she's got this one down here. Going well here, busy of course. I had a special moment on the retreat day at the school she was working at. The thoughts and feelings were, I did it. This is incredible. So happy and proud of myself. And then I sent her this little video. You might see this on my website, on my social media page. It's an interview between Sandra and I. And I said, listen to this. Today is July 25. Everything you wanted came true by the end of 2024. Just the part-time work to come, because she wants to work part-time next year. She said, oh my God, Kylie, exactly what I needed to hear this afternoon. It's happened. I'm doing it, which is beautiful. Okay, so in the rediscover phase, I've talked about being clear. Now we'll look at the purpose and values. Like, do you know what your purpose is? And do you know what you value? And do you know what you value as the new version of you into the new life that you're creating? When you know who you are and what truly matters, you feel lighter. Decisions don't drain you anymore. You stop overthinking every choice. You move with intention instead of just drifting. Boundaries become clearer and easier to hold, and your energy goes where it actually matters. This is what clarity creates, and when it's missing, life feels heavier than it needs to be. So, where do you stand? And if you want to type in the comments in the chat what color you think you are when I read this through. So, where do you stand on rediscovering or knowing your purpose and your values? Are you disconnected and drifting? You've spent so long putting everyone else first that you've lost touch with yourself. You struggle to answer questions like, what do I actually want and what matters to me now? Decisions feel heavy. Motivation comes and goes. And there's a quiet fear that life is passing you by while you're just getting through. Or are you yellow? You're starting to see the pieces. You're beginning to reconnect with what matters to you. You can feel there's more available to you, but everyday life keeps pulling you off course. You start thinking differently, but then you fall back into old patterns. You don't need more insight. You need space, support, and follow through. So that's the yellow. And if you're at the green and this is what you're aspiring to, you know who you are now, your values guide your decisions, you trust yourself, you move forward with intention instead of guilt or second guessing, and life feels aligned because it reflects you, not old expectations. So thank you for sharing. I have got, Lyndall says red, Mel says yellow, Jen says red, yellow, Angelique red, Jackie yellow. Yeah, it's a bit of a mix. Oh, is the screen's frozen? Is it still frozen? If I move it, no, it's okay now. Thank you. Okay, so we've just looked at the first pillar. Let's look at the second pillar, the reset phase. This to me is the how. Got to get very clear, and then the how. So clarity without action keeps you stuck. The reset phase is where things begin to shift. This is where your next chapter stops living in your head and starts taking shape in real life. No rushing, no pressure, just forward moving that feels right to you. I'm actually coaching a gentleman at the moment, and I don't coach many men, mostly women. And this guy is very successful. You would think he has everything, but he is really lost. He feels like he's stuck and he's on moving into that next phase. And we've had 2 sessions, and after one kind of chat session, getting to know each other, and then a session one, and he already feels more energized and is excited because he said to me, how can someone who doesn't know me know how to help me? And I thought that was really interesting, but I know how to ask the right questions because it's all a self-discovery, but I guide the questions. So it's amazing what a little bit of support can do. So in the reset phase, you'll get the tools, step-by-step framework to shift your mindset, release what's holding you back, and start moving forward towards the life that actually feels like yours. Another lady I'm coaching at the moment said to me, I'm really enjoying doing things that I like. Because, when she was married or when the kids were around, she was doing what the kids wanted, or what the husband wanted, not what she wanted. And that's lovely to hear as well. So, how do you get what you want? You need clarity. You stop second guessing and get clear on what you want. We've just talked about that. You need strategy, a clear plan, so you're not just hoping things will change. You need consistent steps. You need action, even when motivation dips. And then you need to keep evaluating and learn and refine and keep going instead of quitting. So, how are you feeling in this phase? Where do you stand about how to get what you want? Do you know how to get what you want? So, are you ready? You can type it in the chat. Stuck and spinning. You know something needs to change, but you don't know where to start. You second guess every decision and go back and forth. You feel tired of thinking about it and frustrated that nothing sticks. Or yellow, you're wanting change but lacking a path. You can see glimpses of your life you want, but it still feels out of reach. You overthink, try to do it all alone and end up stuck again. You know clarity and support would help, you just don't know how to get it. Or are you green? Clear and moving forward. You've made a decision and you know why it matters. You have a simple plan and you're following it through. You trust yourself and it finally feels like you are moving forward again. What have we got? Lyndall red, Mel yellow, Jackie yellow, green. Good, Jackie, a bit of green in there. Fantastic. Angelique red, Jen yellow. Thank you for sharing. It helps it make it normal for all of us because the red and yellow are normal, and even glimpses of green are normal while we're going through this path. So I'm going to give you some tips on mastering your state because this is the how-to phase. And I do a lot of work on mastering your state. And your state is around how you move your body, the words you use, and your beliefs. And so your state is shaped by 3 forces. Your body, so how you move and breathe affects your energy. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar years ago, a 4-day seminar, and you might know him. He's the American, very tall guru in personal development. And it was a 4-day seminar. I took my children at the time, they were 14 and 16. And on day 1, we walked on fire. Amazing. And he had to get us into prime state to be able to believe that we can do that without burning our feet. And since then, I've walked on fire twice. But he says, and I know this to be true, that the quickest way to change your state, so how you're feeling, is to move your body. So when you're feeling sad or depressed or your shoulders are forward, your eyes are down, and you're really kind of sad, the quickest way to change that state is to move your body. And so when I was a teacher, I'd come back from the seminar and I was teaching prep at the time, and there was this little 5-year-old who was quite out there normally, but we're on the playground and he was kind of sitting over in the corner, slumped over, very miserable. And I went over to him and I thought, I'm going to try this. And I said, do you know how to do a cartwheel? And he went, yes. I said, could you show me? Anyway, he got up and he did a cartwheel, and I could see his energy shift straight away. And then I said, "Could you do another one?" He did another one. And then he's jumping up and down and he's showing me more cartwheels. So I changed his sad state into a happy state by getting him to move his body. For me, I make sure, even before I got on this call today, I made sure I jumped up and down and moved the energy through my body so that I could be in prime state and be my best version of you for today. So the quickest way for you to feel better is move your body. So when you are feeling sad, get up and move. Quickest way, because energy moves through you. Have you ever seen a sad person skipping? No. So that is because energy is rising up when you skip up. So I'm not asking you to skip, but if you're really sad and you're thinking, I need to feel better, skip. And skip to the kitchen, skip to the bathroom. Don't do it in front of anybody. It makes the biggest difference. Then language. So if I said to you, who's the person you think you speak to the most? Yourself. Your self-talk is who you speak to the most. So your self-talk and the words that come out of your mouth really do shape your life and define where you end up. So it's really important that we watch what we say. So a couple of tips. The word I can't. We are all told there's no such word as can't. It's either I can or I cannot. If you said I can go to, I can't, oh, sorry, someone's just coming into the group. She's dropped off. I can't go to the gym this week. Well, you can or you cannot. Make a decision type thing. It doesn't really matter. Just commit to one or the other. So take the word can't out of your vocabulary. And then the other one, this is my favorite. I share this all the time. My three favorite words. How can I? So how can I feel happier? How can I save some money? How can I lose some weight? How can I get a partner? How can I change my life? When you say those three words, a world of possibilities open up to you. I remember one time when I was single and I was sad. I was sad and I didn't even really know why I was sad. I was just sad. And I was walking around the house and I'm saying to myself, how can I? How can I? How can I? I wasn't even asking the end bit, like, how can I what? It was just, how can I? Because I'm going, I just want something to come to me, to help to me. And those words changed my life. So remember those ones, ladies, that when things are tricky, ask, how can I? And the answers will come to you. So a small language shift equals big mindset shifts. The other one is your beliefs. What you believe quietly drives every decision you make. If you believe it's too late to have a beautiful life, you won't have a beautiful life. If you believe it's too hard to go to the gym or to date or to lose weight, it will be. You won't do it. So whatever you believe, you take action on. So we really need to watch what beliefs we have. Sometimes awareness is enough. When you are aware of your limiting beliefs and then you can reframe them, you can reframe and restructure the life that you're wanting. So very important to have a good understanding of your beliefs. We have limiting beliefs that hold us back, and we have empowering beliefs. And a fun fact, did you know that most of our beliefs are created before we are 7 years old? Isn't that interesting? So that means that we are acting, a lot of us, from beliefs of a 3, 4, 5-year-old. We can change our beliefs, and I do teach you how to do that. But the quickest way at the moment is to catch yourself in the negative belief and to reframe it. When you shift these three areas of your state, you can stop reacting from stress and start responding with clarity. You feel calmer, steadier, and more in control. And that's what taking your power back looks like. So how do you feel about mastering your state now? And be honest, this is just for you. What do you do if you have injuries and health issues so you can't move more freely? Great question, Jen. To change your belief, you need to add to your environment people in your world who can help you believe that it is true. So sometimes people add in a life coach because I help you with that. But for someone like you, it might be as easy as jumping on Instagram and seeing if there's someone on there who has a similar injury to you or a similar health injury to you and is still creating the outcomes that they want? Or is there a book that can help you? Or is there a podcast that can help you? Or do you see an exercise physiologist or someone like that who is actually um, a professional in that world to help? And then sometimes it's just starting tiny, tiny. What I find is that you need a trust in yourself and a confidence and a belief. So sometimes make a decision that tiny that your brain cannot argue with you. So if it was, you would love to be able to walk a kilometer, but you can't. So what if it is, I'm just going to walk 100 meters twice a week? And then your brain kind of goes, that's so basic, I can do that. Or maybe you're going to get one of those little, my husband's just had a double knee replacement, and he has one of those little bike pedals that are about this big that just sits on the ground in front of the couch that he uses all the time to get that movement in his knees. So you start with tiny steps, and then you start to get the belief and the confidence and the trust that it's possible. So you don't let those things hold you back, you find a way around them. Okay, does that help a little bit? Great. Thank you for asking that. Let's answer this question. Where do you stand right now with mastering your state? Red, you're running on empty. You're getting through the days, but it feels like you're holding everything together by sheer will. You're exhausted, heavy, and quietly wondering where you went. You're yellow. You're becoming aware. You're starting to notice what drains you and what you need, but stress, people pleasing, and old patterns still pull you back into survival mode. Or yet green, you're reclaiming yourself. You're more intentional now. You pause instead of react. And for the first time in a while, you feel proud of how you're showing up for you, not just everyone else. Jen Red, thank you for your vulnerability. Jackie Yellow, Angelique Yellow, Mel Green. Wow, fantastic, Mel. That's great. I love to hear that. Okay, so what's really holding you back? I'm going to get you to put 1, 2, 3, or 4 into the chat for this. Is it 1? You're staying where it feels safer. You know this version of life isn't working anymore, but it's familiar and change feels terrifying. So you stay even though it's costing you. 2, the stories you're telling yourself. I should be past this by now. I've missed my chance. I just need to cope. These thoughts feel convincing, but they're not the truth. They're fear trying to keep you small. 3, always putting yourself last. You say yes when your body says no. You give and give and give until there's nothing left. And somehow your life keeps shrinking instead of expanding. Or 4, trying to be strong on your own. You've always handled things yourself, but lately it feels heavy, lonely, and exhausting. What you really want is support, clarity, and a way forward that actually works. Jen 2, stories you tell yourself. Jackie 3, always putting yourself last. You know what? For me, I could easily have said 1, 2, 3, and 4 at some stage. All of those. Um, they're trying to stay strong, do it all on your own. I know I was terrible at letting people in. Lyndall 3, always putting yourself last. Angelique 1 and 4. Thank you for sharing. It's really, see, that's what I'm saying. Awareness is important. You need to know what is holding you back so you can work on it. Same thing. We might, we'll just read through this. What's holding you back? Red, stuck and spinning. You know something has to change, but you feel frozen, unsure where to start, and scared of making the wrong move. Can I tell you what I teach? There is no wrong move because you will learn from it. You either do something and it works, or you'll do something and you learn from it. Yellow, aware but pulled back. You can see the patterns now: fear, self-doubt, people pleasing. You try to move forward, but you keep slipping back into old habits. And green, this is what we want: to choose differently. You recognize what's holding you back. And instead of staying stuck, you're making conscious choices to move forward with intention and self-trust. Thanks, Jen Yellow. Yep. Jackie Yellow, green. Good. Pillar 3, the rise phase. I love that word. It makes me feel happy. This is where it all comes together. You'll be held with nurturing guidance, loving accountability, and practical tools that build momentum so you can confidently create the life you truly desire. You're no longer surviving, you rise into the woman you're always meant to be. There's support, accountability, and empowerment. You've seen what's been holding you back, you've named what no longer fits. This is the turning point, not just managing the day to day. Choose to rise with clarity, confidence, and a life that feels like you. Keep thinking of Teresa and her beautiful jewels around her eyes. When I met her, she was so sad. And then the change is amazing. You don't rise by trying harder, you rise by being supported. Instead of doing everything alone, you have real support. A system that protects your energy, time, and emotional well being. And it's not about doing it all, it's about knowing you don't have to. With the right guidance, tools, and community, you create space to breathe, grow, and move forward. And that's when life begins to flow again. That's one of my words this year, flow. So it can comes in two ways, support from others, of the people who are around you. The right support doesn't fix you, it sees you. It lifts you when you forget your strengths. It honors your boundaries. It reminds you who you are, even on your hard days. And this isn't about having a crowd, it's about having your people, the ones who walk beside you as you rise. And I can honestly say I have that now. In the beginning, with no friends after the marriage ended, I didn't have this, but the women I now have in my world, they see me and they hold me when I need lifting up, and it's a beautiful place to be. And then it can also come from support from someone like me. So inside my coaching space, you are deeply seen, gently challenged, and consistently supported. This isn't surface level cheerleading, it's real guidance, real tools, and real accountability. I walk beside you as you move from surviving to thriving with a life that finally reflects the woman you're truly becoming. And together we create space for you to rise, not just for a season, but for a life. So, do you have support, whether it's a coach or whether it's some people around you? Where do you stand? Red, you carry it all alone. You don't ask for help even when you need it. You tell yourself you should be able to handle it all, but inside you're exhausted, resentful, and running on empty. Yellow, you've let some people in, but not fully. You share bits and pieces, but still carry the mental and emotional load yourself. You crave deeper support, but you're not sure how to ask, or if you're even allowed to. But green, you've built strong, steady support. You know who to turn to. You ask for what you need without guilt, and you feel lighter, clearer, and connected because you're not doing this alone. So Mel yellow, Jen yellow. Fantastic. Yes, sometimes it's let them in, but not can totally. I get it. So when you walk through these three phases, everything changes. Not just how life looks on the outside, but how it feels on the inside. You're no longer just getting through the days, you're living them, owning them, and creating them. And for the first time in a long time, life doesn't just feel better, it feels like yours. So that's my rebuild method: rediscover, reset, and rise. And here's what happens when you get it right. You stop just coping and you start feeling calm and clear and confident, not just in your roles, but as yourself. You reconnect with what really matters and begin shaping a future that feels like you, one that excites you instead of just getting through. You gain direction and self-trust and make decisions that align with the life you actually want to live. And I'm coaching Lydia at the moment. We've got one session left, and she says it really feels like things are shifting and it's only session 2. Here's what happens also. The big dreams, they stop feeling out of reach because you now have the tools, the plan, and the belief to make them real. Boundaries become second nature. You protect your time, your energy, and your peace without apology and without guilt. And you stop waiting for things to get better one day and start creating a life that feels right now. Because thriving isn't a someday thing. It starts the moment you choose you. And coming here today, you've chosen you, which is great. So I just want to put these photos up because that's me enjoying my beautiful life. This is exactly what becomes possible when you master the rebuild method inside my Rise Again course. So a couple more people just to prove to you this is possible. Therese, she came to me after returning to work after having children. So her next chapter was that part. She was unsure of who she was, and she said she rediscovered her confidence, overcame self-doubt, found balance in her life. And she said that she unlocked something new within herself. She now knows how to set boundaries, shift her mindset when it wobbles, and step into a life she truly deserves. She said the impact has been profound, and I've been in contact with Therese a fair bit since, and it has. She has moved up the career ladder. She knows how to nourish her relationship with her husband and herself, and she's there for her kids. It's beautiful. Fiona came to me when this is a really interesting story. She had worked in a leadership role and as an acting role and did not get along with the boss and lost the role at the end of the year and came to me because she wanted to she wanted to be in leadership. So she came to me and worked on her to become the best version of her. And you know what that text says? Just wanted you to know I want a senior teaching position at the school I'm currently working at. Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you. How amazing out of something so terrible and she would have felt so bad to come and then to rebuild her and get clear and have the tools and strategies to be able to step into the life she wanted. And by the end of that year, she got that job. So she turned that relationship around with that boss and she gave her the job in the end. I love that story. Michelle says, thank you for the journey of reflection, of self-discovery. I feel more empowered, clearer on my goals, and most important, confident in my ability to achieve them. I think that's it, confident in my ability to achieve them. They make me excited about my future and what I'm truly capable of creating. And she has since retired and she is having a beautiful life because she set it up. Emily says, I've never felt more balanced or at peace with myself. What used to stress me out no longer does. She was having a horrific time in the workplace when she came to me, and she did it with ease and grace because she had the tools to be able to manage it while it was going along. So the rebuild method is for you if you're done just getting by, if you've outgrown your life you've been living, and if you're ready to finally choose you. And the bits in why, this is what I want for you, and this is what I want for every woman. You finally feel like you again. I know who I am now, and I like her. I like that part, and I like her. You have a clear vision and plan for your next chapter. I finally know where I'm going and how to get there. And you start living, not just coping. Life fits again because I created it for me. It feels so good to create the life you want. So this is your moment not to start over, but to start in alignment. Your next chapter starts now, and you don't have to walk it alone. So the rediscover phase we talked about, the reset phase we talked about, the rise phase we talked about. Here's the thing. Let's be honest, you already know things need to change, but knowing what to do is one thing, but having a personalized plan with the structure, support, and loving accountability, that's what creates real lasting change. And from when I took that invitation all those years ago to go to a coaching weekend, it was a weekend I went to, that was my first yes to me. That's what changed the trajectory from a single mom, raising my kids on my own, working full time, studying a master's full time, and studying life coaching and dating and doing all the things that I did to now. This photo is my husband and I when he took me on a surprise beach picnic in that helicopter to ask me to marry him. Like, this is my life now is kind of like out of the movies, which is really beautiful. So from chaos to clarity, I've created a life I once thought was out of reach. A loving marriage, a home that feels like peace, deep connected friendships, and a successful business. But most importantly, I know myself now. I like who I am. That's the part I never thought I'd find again. The calm, the clarity, the love I've been waiting for started with me. And I think that's why I didn't meet my husband for all those years, because I needed to love me first and be the best version of me to attract in the beautiful man that I have. You don't need to have a man, by the way. That was just what I wanted. You may have different ideas. That was just my dreams I'm sharing with you. So what becomes possible when you say yes to coaching? You stop feeling invisible and start feeling like you again. You're grounded in who you are. You move through life with clarity and you say, I know who I am and I like her. You stop spinning in indecision and start moving forward. You have a clear plan, real goals and direction that actually align with your values. And you say, I finally know where I'm going and how to get there. That's the tricky part, how to get there. And you stop just getting through the days and start living again. You feel joy, energy, purpose, and a life that feels like it truly belongs to you. And you say, life fits again because I created it for me. So if you would like some more, I am offering a free clarity call. It's a conversation about you, your next chapter, and what's possible from here. It's your first steps back to you, not the old version, but the woman you're becoming, so that you can feel proud, confident, and excited about your next chapter. Now, I have on the screen a QR code that you can scan if you like, and that will take you to my calendar to book a call. I am also going to drop in the chat the link. I copied it ages ago. Let me just grab it again. And then you can, if you want to, click on that to book a call. But I'm going to show you behind the scenes of my course, just for those who would like to see what it looks like. So the spots are limited because I give every woman my full presence and care. And if your heart's saying, this is what I need, trust that and scan the QR code or click on the link and book your free clarity call. You've got nothing to lose. Come along, see if it's right for you and go from there. And I'm going to answer some questions at the end as well. If you do choose to come to coaching with me, there are a couple of bonuses if you book within the next 72 hours. Even if you can't get a call with me for after that, that's fine, as long as you can book the call within the next 72 hours. There's an extra month of support completely free. Normally you get 6 months, so you would get 7 months. And I've also taken $500 off the full program. I will say to you, it is a really doable price. Do not be scared by the price. It's very doable because I don't want money to be the reason people say no. So come along and have a chat, scan the QR code or click on that link and book a call. And on that call, we'll look at where you are now, what's feeling heavy, where you're stuck or where you feel out of alignment, what parts of your life that no longer feel like you, even if you can't quite explain why, and where you want to be, the version of you that you want. And then your next step, a clear personalized plan using my 3-pillar rebuild method. So you can stop spinning and start creating that life that feels grounded and meaningful and truly yours. So we'll look at where are you now, where do you want to be, and what the next steps would be. So you have a choice. You can stay where you are, doing your best and keeping it all together, even though something inside you knows this isn't it. Or you can choose a new path, one where you take back control, reconnect with who you are now, and start building a life that feels like yours with the support you've always deserved. So this is your moment to choose differently and choose you because you're ready for more. I have a coach. I work with a coach every week because the support is invaluable. It keeps you on track, it keeps you motivated, and it helps you achieve what you want. So book a call and let's have a chat. If something inside you is whispering, it's time, listen to her. Now, let me share with you a little bit while some of you are booking that call. I've got some questions. You can come off mute in a moment or you can type them in the chat. But let me just show you a little bit behind the scenes of what my course is. It's all on a platform, so you have every module there for you ready to go so that you can watch them. I have some bonuses with limiting belief blasting sessions and some meditations. And then I'll just go into one of the topics, 5 steps to having anything you want. There is welcome back. This module is going to be able to be the weight and the size that I want. So there's me giving all the education. So there's that in this course. There are action sheets each week. You have a workbook to follow each week, and then each week you come along to a coaching call where I support you as well. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of behind the scenes of um, what the course is. But if you would like to ask any questions, you can unmute yourself or you can type them into the chat now, and I'll hang around here for a little while to see what you want to ask. But I'd love to see you in a personalized chat to see what your story is and what you're looking for, and see if I can help you. And if we're the right fit, perfect, we can go ahead and do that. And if not, there's no pressure. I do this because I know I can help women have a happy life. And if that's what you're wanting, come along and just see what's possible. I hope you have enjoyed today. I have enjoyed sharing it with you. I love sharing my story and my client stories and my model with you, because it's that rebuild model that is the process, and it's step by step. It is easy. It does not feel overwhelming because I guide you. I ask you the right questions to be able to get you where you are. And you know what? It gives you some time each week just to think about you and what you want. Because no, people don't do that. Even to say, when I asked you beginning of this session, I said, where do you want to be in 12 months? A lot of us don't sit and take the time to figure that out. We might go, oh yeah, I know I want to be somewhere, but where do I actually want to be? So it's dedicated time for you. And that's what a lot of women actually say is the best part about it. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I will come on. I'll just put that QR code up there one more time just in case you want to scan it. Of course, the link is in the chat if you want to book a call. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to sit here for a few minutes. If you've got any questions, you can ask. But if not, thank you for coming along. I hope you've got something out of it. And I hope to see you on my socials or in my emails coming forward. And I particularly hope I see you on a clarity call. Thanks, ladies, for being here. Bye.